Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. So in this video lesson, you're going to get to learn a little bit more about paints that I didn't cover. These are paints that I used to use before I really got involved in creating a limited and extended palette. So we covered off how to do a limited palette. We're covering off all these extra paints, and then we're going to cover off creating our extended palette. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know very well what's in my limited palette and extended palette. So I'm not spending a lot of time with these. These are colors that, first of all, if I had that, I just had them. There's also some that rarely do I need something so specific that my limited palette and extended palette really can't cover it. So I would go into something like this, but rarely does that happen. So I want to cover that off. So what we have here, the Decor Traditions, you can tell it's the old style bottles. So that's how old these are. Sap green, chrome green hue, cerulean blue. This one's going to be a little bit of an oddball. Aquamarine, blue gray, Prussian blue hue, dioxazine purple, naphthalus hue, brown madder, vermilion, quinacridone gold, yellow deep, Daryl yellow, and Indian yellow. So we'll start off with sap green. Sap green is a phenomenal color. It's always mixed. It's never a single pigment. So each manufacturer is going to be the same. It's a really nice color for landscapes. End of. But because manufacturers make it all different, if you go from one brand to another, it's going to be different either way. So it's always nice to be able to make it on your own. But if you use it a lot, it might be easier just to buy it. I also wrote down all the pigments that made these, because what we can do is, if you want, and you could let me know, is if you want a detailed video on how I make each of these colors. So we'll go off with sap green. Sap green I also learned to use in portrait painting using the Daniel Green method. So we'll take our white. So it's PG36, so phthalo green yellow, PR101. I'm thinking PR101, transparent red oxide. Let me go here. Or could it be? Yeah, transparent red iron oxide is PR101, but there's different. We already know that you can have the same pigment for multiple types of paint. We already know that. So it could be PR101 for transparent red iron oxide, or I don't have it. It could also be English red oxide. It could be that. And then PY73. So there's also some colors in here like, nope, this one. This one here, which is Daryl yellow, where it's PY83. There's some mixes that need PY83. That's just, I can't make it any other way. I could make it close with like a Hansi yellow medium, but sometimes you want something more precise, and it can't be done unless I have a pigment. And these here, like I said, they're old. Chrome green hue. Okay, chrome green hue is made with burnt umber, raw sienna, and phthalo green yellow. This color I was using for portrait painting in the Howard Sandon style. What I haven't been able to really master is his style of painting in acrylics, because it's just way too hard, because you need that time for blending. So although it's nice to have, if you're doing more quick portraits, for refined portraits and photorealistic or hyper-realistic portraits, it's easier just mixing it another way or just sticking with oils. It depends on your style of painting. But it's a really soft green. Sap green leans more towards yellow. Chrome green hue leans more towards blue. For me, it's just easier using the phthalo colors if I need to knock it down, or Viridian. Okay, cerulean blue being the oddball out. It's what I have in my extended palette, but I only use it if I need to do a lot of this color. It's nice if I'm plein air painting, I just bring the one bottle out if I know I'm going to do a seascape. Because you can make this easily, even though it's a single pigment, you can make something very similar with white, phthalo blue, and a little bit of phthalo green blue if you want a bit more the green on the blue side, or use a yellow if you want a bit more on the yellow side. Aquamarine, okay, a color I don't use a lot sorry, I lied. I don't use it at all. It's a nice color for basing, geometrics and abstracts and stuff like that. But for portraits and fine art and stuff like that, for the stuff that I do, it's not a color I use a lot. It's made with phthalo green, blue, phthalo blue, and white. But it is a beautiful color. It's a beautiful color. I'm not saying it's something that's not worth having, but I mean, you can make it. Any of the colors that you can make, you don't need to have these paints. It's the single pigments. We'll get that into the next page. It's the single pigments that are here that are the ones that I use specifically for doing specialized color mixing. Blue gray. Okay, this one here is really nice. It's made with phthalo blue, black, and white. It's a neutral. We already know. Oh my God, we did this in great detail. We can make this. We don't need to buy it. I also don't know if any of these paints are still available because these are so old. Like I know Cerulean Blue is still available, but some of these I don't even know if they're available yet or still. Prussian Blue Hue. This is a very, very, very popular paint. This one's specifically done with phthalo blue and black. You could use this as chromatic black as well, but problem is it has black in it. So all we're doing is shifting the black. That's all we did. It's just black that's been shifted. But if you use it a lot, let's say you're painting, let's say you're doing batches, a batch painting for Halloween or dark, or let's say Dark Side of Vintage, like that series that I did a few years ago. You're doing something really dark and you need to do a large batch, then it might be better just to use a pre-made dark color. It might just be better doing it that way. So now we're gonna, where do we put this? So now we've got single pigments. So these ones here cannot be made up easily by using my primary or extended palette, but a lot of times I don't need it. Dioxazine purple I used to use many years ago when doing reverse glass, but because it's so intense, I don't use it. It's just too bright for me. I prefer making my own, whether I use ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson or ultramarine blue and red violet. It's a really, really intense purple. Naphtha Hue, again, is just a red. Leans, depending on the lighting. Right now, if I tilt my head to the left, it leans more towards blue. If I tilt my head to the right, it leans a bit more towards orange. I'm thinking it's just a little bit to, I'm thinking it leans a little bit more towards the orange. Again, like I said, depending on how I tilt my head. But like I said, I prefer the other colors that I've chosen for my mix. Brown Matter, PR 175. So this is a red. Oh, that's nice. Looks a little bit more on the violet, or yeah, a little bit of the violet side. That's really pretty. I forgot how nice this color was. Do you know what this would make a nice substitute for? No, it wouldn't. At face value, this would make a good substitute for transparent red iron oxide, except if you were to mix it with something else. Transparent red iron oxide is more orange, where this is more on the violet side. But at face value, unmixed, it would make a good substitute. Vermilion. So this is an orange that's made with yellow. PY74. Why did PR9 and PY74? I knew I was mixing something. PR9. So a red and a yellow. Because you can see how dull that orange is. So you can make this if you wanted to. You don't need to buy it. Yeah, it doesn't belong there. Quinacridone Gold. Okay, so this is a really nice color. It's dried out. I don't use it at all. Add white to it. So this might make a nice substitute as well for transparent red iron oxide. Maybe a bit light, but as is. So you might have to mix it with something else. Again, I don't use it at all. It's nice for vintage steampunk. Nice color for that. Yellow Deep, PBR-BS. Okay, so let's go to this color. And I missed another one. I can tell the ones that I'm forgetting to write everything down. Let me just double check. Yeah, that's correct. So it's a part of a neutral burnt sienna, PBR7, and decor. It's nice they actually put the numbers after them. Do I have that on this one too? No, I don't. Where it's BS burnt sienna, BU burnt umber. Where's the green? No. Oh, here. Chrome green hue burnt umber, raw sienna, BS burnt sienna. So they've got the numbers there. And then a yellow. Okay. It's a nice deep yellow. It looks very much like raw sienna. But you got to add the white to see the true underlying color. It looks very much like raw sienna. So I could use it as a substitute, but I don't have a need for it. It's a mixed pigment. I don't have a need for it. I'll put that one right there. Derylid Yellow. Derylid Yellow is a color that I've used frequently to mix to make other things where I need something very, very specific. Very, very bright. Okay, single pigment. And then we have Indian Yellow. So if you take a look at the pigment number, Yellow Deep is made with Indian Yellow and burnt sienna. There you go. So if you haven't watched the video yet where we color off the yellows and we go over Indian Yellow, shame on you, you should be going through all the videos. I want you to Google how Indian Yellow was originally made and then post your comments below. You'll get a kick out of it. There we go. And if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to check. I'm not mistaken. Bob Ross uses a lot of Indian Yellow. It's a really pretty yellow that leans towards orange. Derylid Yellow is a yellow that leans towards orange. Leans towards orange, leans towards red, leans to red orange, leans towards orange, leans towards violet, leans towards violet. Obviously leans towards violet. Violet leans towards more towards blue. Leans towards blue-green. Leans towards blue-green. Leans towards blue-green. Leans towards blue-green. Leans towards yellow. Leans towards blue. Leans towards blue. Leans towards green. Oh my God. So with these colors here, these are not colors that you like. These are just colors that I had that I wanted to demonstrate in case you had them. You can then see them and then you can see how they're made. Or maybe you need something that's very, very specific. I wouldn't go out and buy these. Like if I had to start all over again, I wouldn't buy these. There's no need. Like cerulean blue, like I said, it's so easy to make with my limited palette. There's no need. But so these are colors that are nice to have, but don't go out and buy them just for the sake of buying them. It's not necessary. The only ones that I would look at, let me just get scrap paper. For those of you that are watching that are into vintage, let me just put this away. Let me put this away. For those of you that are into vintage, let me put that up here. Hopefully it won't knock my paints over. Let's brown matter. Where are you? You're here. Transparent red iron oxide is a color that is key to steampunk art. Transparent, intense, red orange. at face value, brown matter looks a lot more violet, but it's an alternative that you could use for a brownish glaze. The color that would be nicer, which for me it's kind of it's dried out, is quinacridone gold. And now that I look at it, you know what? This may be the one I'm going to start going with. Instead of trying to make it on my own, I think I'm actually going to go and pick this up. Look how close it is. Well, let's check the properties. The transparent red iron oxide, whoops, and brown matter. Let's turn them over. Single pigment. Okay, so brown matter is semi-transparent. Will that affect how it works with vintage art mixed media if we use glazing? Not really. You could add a little bit of water to thin it down, or even some medium. Light fast. It's both light fast. The hue, now that's where these bottles have the hue on them, where the new bottles don't. The hue on this is 8.6 R on the red, where the brown matter is 7.0 R. Value is close, 2.9 on brown matter and 3.2 on transparent red iron oxide. And on the saturation intensity scale, they're relatively the same, 6.1 on brown matter and 6.3 on transparent red iron oxide. They're both red, PR 101 for transparent red iron oxide and PR 175 for brown matter. So, you know what? I was supposed to review quinacridone gold. So why is that so different? Did I put the wrong color down? Quinacridone gold is this one here. That's weird. I'm kind of leading up to a pop quiz question. So quinacridone gold is PO48, so it's an orange, both transparent. The hue on red oxide is 8.6 R, where the hue on quinacridone gold is 7.4 R, so they're pretty close. The values are almost the same, 3.2, 3.4, and saturation is 6.3 on oxide and 7.9 on quinacridone gold. Well, pop quiz question. If brown matter, if I look at this, put that in that order, here we go. So brown matter is a red. The hue is not quite as red. The value is pretty close. The saturation is pretty close. Where you have quinacridone gold, which the chroma is pretty close, the value is pretty close, the hue is pretty close. These are all on the hue scale of red. But why does the quinacridone gold look more like transparent red iron oxide than brown matter? So there's something for you to think about. You can ponder that as your pop quiz question. But looking at that, I am now going to pick up quinacridone. I haven't looked at this color in a long time. I'm going to pick up this color as an alternative to this. Awesome. Problem solved. So DecoArt, I'm not mad at you anymore. Unless you don't make quinacridone gold anymore. But mind you, they are great for keeping up on trends and offering the colors that people want. Unfortunately, the color that I wanted and my students want for vintage art, they stopped making. But anyways, so you have your colors now that you can see where we're going to go with. So again, these, do not go out and buy these, unless it's quinacridone gold. Do not go out and buy these just for the sake of buying them. I want you to watch now the next video where we're going to go through our extended palette, what I'm going to put together for the colors that I can't really mix up with my primary colors, or take me way too long to do with my primary colors, or colors that I need to be, that I just can't replicate. So that's going to be covered in the next video. So there is no homework assignment for this, except for you to prepare rough color swatches like I did here of all the extra colors that you have, random colors that you've just picked up because they were pretty. Create some swatches of those just to see what they have, because it might surprise you, like it did with quinacridone gold. It might surprise you, a color that you have that's a random color that you could use as a replacement for something else. So that could be your homework assignment. But I want you to answer the pop quiz question when I covered the properties of quinacridone gold, brown matter, and transparent red iron oxide. Why are these so different? Alrighty, so I will leave you with that. So until I see you in the next lesson, stay inspired.